Looking at the one of those makeshift tent cities that have sprung up, nearly 500,000 people now said to be living all around Port-au-Prince in tents and corrugated tin structures. A lot of them are kids. This is the kind of situation where diseases can spread rapidly. Stomach illnesses, infections, sanitation is bare bones, medical care is limited. You can have drug-resistant opportunistic infections that were already rampant before the quake. And one of the worst that existed in Haiti is tuberculosis. According to USAID, Haiti before the quake actually had the highest incidence of TB per person in the region. Sanjay Gupta looked today to find out whether it's still a problem.
There is something happening here in these blue tents behind me, and I can tell you what's happening inside there could impact people all over the world. Think of this as a quarantine tent. People in here have been quarantined since the quake. Many of them have tuberculosis, which is why we're going to wear a mask like this. You'll notice the door is open. If you stay about 10 feet away from someone with tuberculosis, you'll be okay. And sunlight kills the bacteria as well. But once we go inside, you have to wear a mask like this. Let's go meet some of the patients. This is Cynthia. She's 20 years old. We've spoken to her already. Take a look at her. She's obviously had a lot of difficulty since the quake. She lost her home. She also lost her medications, which puts her at high risk of developing drug-resistant tuberculosis. How are you feeling?
Comment sentir?
There's a lot of things doctors pay attention to. With Cynthia, she definitely has some sweating. It's hot outside, but the sweating is a little bit more than that. Also, the sweats often occur at night. Her lips are so chapped as well. You can see just from the dehydration. A bit hard to tell, but she's breathing quite quickly. Seems to have a little bit of difficulty breathing. Tuberculosis is a disease of the lungs. What really brought her in here was this dramatic loss of weight. I mean, just look at her arms. She's lost so much weight. Malnutrition, difficulty eating, that often happens as well. A lot of these patients, including Cynthia, say, after the earthquake, they lost so many things, including her home and also her medication. So she couldn't take her medications for a period of time. What's the risk there?
There's two big risks. One, of course, we worry about the most is developing multi-drug resistance. She might be taking only one med that's working for TB, and she might then develop resistance to all the other meds. And then she might be more infectious because the TB can grow back. And most of these patients here are living in tent cities where they're sleeping nose to nose with their families, with hundreds of thousands of other people sleeping nose to nose with them. So it's a chance of just spreading it and spreading it.
People think of Haiti as over there, someplace else, not here. London, New York, Atlanta, San Francisco, do people need to be worried about what's happening in this tent?
Over time, this is going to grow and grow. If we allow TB to grow in Haiti, people are going to travel, people are going to be infected, even workers like us here. And that can really spread to Miami, New York City, and eventually to San Francisco and the Southeast. And we really do not wish to have multi-drug resistance. It's something that even in the US we can't treat well. So it'd be terrible if we had that spread.
Where will you go after you leave here?
Quand on va aller là, quitter ici, là. She doesn't know. Est-ce qu'on va kijken elkaar aller? She doesn't have a house to go to.
What happens to someone like Cynthia? I mean, is she medically, from a medical standpoint, is she going to be okay?
I hope so. If the right infrastructure is in place. She has totally treatable diseases in the US. And right now, I know I can treat all of her diseases.
This is a dumb question. TB, how do you get TB?
Well, it's a bacterial infection, and this is spread mainly through people coughing, respiratory. That's why people wear masks inside these types of tents. If you stand a certain distance away, you can lower your risk, but that, nose to nose, as Dr. Coffey said, is how people are sleeping, and that's how they're catching it.
And so, I mean, in these tent cities where you don't really have adequate sanitation, you've got a bug on you. You don't have adequate sanitation, water is carted in. Sometimes people are drinking out of hoses. There's a hose on the street here people drink out of all the time. I mean, stomach illnesses just can pass very easily through shared food and the like.
No question. I mean, sanitation in these places is how a lot of these infectious diseases are spread, and a lot of the waterborne diseases as well. I mean, the water gets contaminated in all sorts of different ways. TB is of particular risk. I mean, it's the highest rate, as you mentioned, in the Americas is here in Haiti, about 30,000 new cases a year. But you and I have traveled to Africa. We know how big a problem TB is over there. This is a disease that kills 5,000 people a day around the world. If this starts to develop drug resistance because people lost their medications, they simply can't take them,
people become carriers. They travel around the world. I mean, this could be the epicenter of a real big problem. That's what was so fascinating to me, is that, people think of Haiti as over there, a different place, but what's happening over here could potentially affect the whole world.
Right, and I mean, we've seen just how illnesses move through all of us, and we're constantly, using stuff in our hands and washing and stuff. We've all been sick numerous times. You can only imagine what, for people out in these camps, it's 20 times, 30 times the worse.
Yeah, they just don't have the same resources.
Yeah. All right, Sanjay, thanks very much.